Hello, welcome to this Jewel of the Soul reading for the week of May 28th. And I'm imagining that we're going to be seeing all these bugs flying in the lens here. I'm looking at them sort of hovering around it. And it's just indicative of, there is a sense of excitement for this week. Our symbol is from Sagittarius, which is the great adventurer. Sagittarius always wants to expand further, never really happy with status quo, a lot of fire and passion. And we have quite an evolved degree. There are 30 degrees within Sagittarius in the zodiac, and we are at 23 degrees of Sagittarius for this week. And here's how the symbol reads: a group of immigrants fulfilling the requirements for entering a new country. Can you imagine with me for a minute that you are one of those people? Can you imagine the sense of excitement they feel as they're about to start a new life in a new country? As a messenger, I always find that I experience elements of the message prior to recording, in the week prior to recording. And this is the week that I started writing down what I want to share about my cancer journey, but in terms of self-empowerment for us all. And particularly the word sisu, which is a Finnish word. My family is Finnish. And when I saw this symbol, I thought of sisu. And that's what my book, or whatever it is I'm going to create, I don't know what it's going to be yet. Probably, I don't think it'll be a book. I want it to be more fluid than that. But this idea of sisu I love because it's a word that does not have a translation from Finnish. It is a way of being. It is a philosophy, and that is Sagittarius energy. Philosophical approaches to life. And a lot of people describe sisu as kind of that pulling up the bootstraps and kind of powering through things. But I've experienced it as a combination of inner courage that really we only see when we are pushed to our edges, when we have no other pathway to go in a situation. And somehow we find this resolve within us, and oftentimes our eyes are opened even bigger in the midst of all of it, and we see more options and learn more about ourselves than we ever thought was possible. That is certainly true for Cancer. And so this idea of sisu, there's a certain power to it, but I don't feel like it's pushing through something. That's very outdated masculine energy that didn't feel right to me, like me overpowering Cancer. No, I grew this, and this 4-pound tumor, and it had something to tell me, and it pushed me to my edges, and that was the plan all along. So there was no battling about it. That really feels outdated to me. And this idea of sisu, the piece that I feel is missing and needs an upgrade is a sense of mysticism, that we trust our intuition, we trust that inner wisdom that comes to us at these times when sisu is what's required, when we have to buck up and we have to bring everything we've got in order to get through something. Because there is a sense of resilience with this. And all of this, I'm talking about sisu because my great-grandfather was of the first Finnish generation in my mother's family to come here. He was about 20 years old in 1918 and came on a ship into Ellis Island, and his name was quickly truncated from Hakanimi to Nimi. And there, as scary as it probably was to leave what was very familiar to him and to leave family behind, he came here because America promised a life of more abundance and a life of more choice and the ability to really create the life of your dreams. So that's what I think about when I think about this symbol is my great-grandfather, is this sense of what the excitement he must have felt. But we also have this tinge of anxiety. And this is the whole concept of sisu that I'm talking about, that I'm trying to flesh out in whatever I decide to share, that I've come to this point, and this journey has totally been about me cultivating my inner sisu, and I believe that all of us are in the process of cultivating that. And often in the face of these crazy world events that are happening, so much going on in our world, and where do we find the inner gusto to kind of push through that? There is an element of that, but can we also see the mysticism and the promise and the inspiration of even the negative things that occur in our life? So I really want us to embrace this sense of inner adventurer this week, thinking about as if you are among this group of immigrants who is filling out the paperwork. You're sitting at Ellis Island, for instance, and you're about to enter a new country and start a whole new life. It is the sense of that excitement, but also, a little trepidation. And that keeps us on our toes. That's what's so cool about sisu that's hard to define. And it cannot be defined. It's a feeling. I've got this inner drive to want more for my life, but I don't know how, and I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but I'm going to push ahead anyway. Okay? So I feel like that's what the cards are speaking to, is sort of this place that we find ourselves at this week. And remember that every week has the potential of this new journey beginning that is really an exciting time. It is, Sagittarius is a wonderful energy. That and Scorpio, I always say, are two of my favorites. Aquarius is too, if I could just figure Aquarius out a little bit more. Those are my real favorite energies. And so it's embracing a new potential, new for ourselves. And that can be on anything. That can be a new way of life, moving to a new home, a new community, a new state. It can be moving into a new job or an area of study that you're interested in. It can be deciding, maybe you're starting a new relationship, maybe you're leaving an old relationship. It's about transition, but it feels like it's something that really impacts our life pretty big time. But I get that nice mix of the excitement of the new as well as the trepidation. And please, I just ask you to embrace all of it. And don't feel that any of it is not worthy of your attention, okay? The trepidation is really good because it keeps us sort of nimble and watching everything that's going on and taking it all in, because things are new and things are different. Think about, my great-grandfather coming to the U.S. in around 1918 and sailing into New York, and just, oh, wow, he lived in New York for a period of time before moving to this tiny Newport, New Hampshire, where the mills were, woolen mills, shoe mills. We had lots of mills here, so lots of work available. And for him, that felt like ultimate freedom and prosperity. And he went on to live a very satisfying life, working for, the profits that he earned, and eventually even building a summer cottage for his family on a nearby lake in our area. I mean, I bet he couldn't have fathomed that when he was living in Finland. But he came to the promised land in his mind and was able to make things happen. And he used his hands. He worked in the mill in order to make all that transpire for his family, to build a better life. And that's what that idea of building a better life is, a big theme for this week. And to embrace it, and to embrace, if you're considering a big change like that, that you can actually sit and journal out what are the parts that excite you and what do you have trepidation about. Don't let it drive down inside you, whatever you're afraid of. It's better to give it voice, okay? That's what I've found in my cancer journey, and whatever I share is going to be about that around Sisu, is please don't let it just keep pushing it down. And no, I can't look at you, I just have to stay positive. The fear needs a voice too. And Sisu is all about dissolving fear, because it just pushes you to the edge and you just go on. That's been my mantra all through, the past 6 months and life moves on. Life doesn't stop. And the more we keep up with it and we keep moving with it, then we have a richer experience here on Earth, okay? So, about great adventures and new ones, into new lands, new areas of thinking, new relationships, new work, new home, whatever it is, something new. And it's exciting and it's big, and it feels like it is all about your personal abundance and prosperity for you. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about a feeling of richness within you, really savoring a richness of experience, whatever this change is. Okay? So let's see what messages have to go with that. The first card up is from the Angel Answers deck by Doreen Virtue. And this says, in the near future. Okay, so your change is coming right up. But what I noticed right away is this is kind of two angelic beings together. They're traveling together. So though whatever you're facing, when I talk about all this adventure, new lands, new exploration, a time of transition, please know that you have not only your team, your divine team, your higher self, the most expanded part of you, with you, but also there is someone in your life who is your ultimate supporter through all of this. So you may have times where you might feel somewhat alone, or like I have to make all the decisions, or this is a lone journey. And I'm getting the sense from this card that it is not. And it would benefit you to take advantage of the support that person is giving you. It feels like practical support to me. It doesn't so much feel like your angelic support. That's always there and that's a given. And when I do these readings, I don't tend to talk about that as much, because it's table stakes as far as I'm concerned, and I'm assuming people watching this understand that they have the support of their higher self team, as I call it. So ask yourself if indeed you are perhaps not embracing all the support that is around you, and particularly one person, because these two beings are very close. It's literally like one is holding the other in his arms. I think it's a male and a female, and the male is carrying the torch, and you can trust in that person, and it helps to relax your energy into the arms of another. And that doesn't have to mean physically. This could be a friend of yours who lives halfway across the world. You still can relax into. You can relax back and let yourself go a little bit with the help of this person energetically supporting you. As I mentioned in the intro, take to your journal, have a conversation with whomever that trusted person is, and get your fears out. If anything is really dragging you down, or it makes you feel hopeless, even if it's a really exciting situation, there are times when we can feel really like rudderless and like, well, what the heck am I going to do when this happens, or when I get there, or going into a new job, you have no idea the people who you're going to be working with. Everything is new. Remember, immigrants sailing into Ellis Island, they've got a name and it gets truncated down in a heartbeat, just a stroke of a pen, and boop, I've just cut your name in half. You're going to be Nemi from now on, just think about how scary and almost powerless that feels, because you're going into this big power that is America in this case. That's what I feel for you. Something feels maybe overwhelmingly scary, but it is really and truly for your best and highest good. Otherwise, you would not be feeling this sense of wanting to go towards it. You would not be having momentum to go in that direction. But don't get me wrong, the trepidation, the scariness, the overwhelming feeling of perhaps not knowing, that is consuming. But please rest in the arms of the very person that you trust the most, that has always got your back. You know who this person is, for sure. As I'm talking about it, you know who you can just it's just like you can let your hair down and you can be whomever you really, really are. And that it's okay to not be all super upbeat and so excited you can't even contain yourself. It's okay to admit to that person that, yeah, I'm a little unsure about this. I'm scared, or I'm afraid. Whatever it is, taking the time to let that come out is important. So rest into their arms. That's what I want to say about that, okay? Because by you doing so, it adds, or it really adjusts, I want to say it that way, your energy field to a whole other, I got a little friend over here, a whole other vibration. When we are feeling edgy, and words like fear, overwhelmed, powerless, those are all very natural feelings, but they have an effect on your energy field. And you're in a time right now, whatever this is that you're potentially going towards, where you need to amp it up. You don't need to dull it down. So that's where this resting in the arms of the one you trust, to let it out, let it come out. And this can also be journaling if you for some reason don't have that person. Journaling and thereby talking with your higher self and understanding, that your higher self has always got your back and totally gets it, that this earth experience is not easy. It just relaxes the whole vibration in your big sphere that is your energy field. And therefore, you're vibrating out a signal, like a radio signal, that is quite different from when you're really uptight and you're really focused on things that you're afraid of, things that overwhelm you, things that feel out of your power. You need to keep looking at the excitement, but you're not really going to be authentically able to look at the excitement and keep that in your view if you don't give a voice to these things that you're afraid of, that are causing a sense of disharmony within you. And I bet you anything, when you start talking about it, this is why processing with a really good friend or spouse, lover, whatever, whoever that person is for you, it can help with their feedback of what they see, or perhaps they've been through similar things, where they can say, actually, I've found that that's not how that goes, and it turned out to be not as big a deal as I thought it was. So, you know, like somebody could talk to me about cancer, and all I can do is give my experience, and what I would say is, we really need to not lose our shit over this. This is not, honestly, that big of a deal. You really sail through it a lot easier than you think you're going to. The fear overtakes people, and it thereby causes a whole different journey of its own that doesn't have to be the case, okay? So that's the type of thing that you could, by talking it out a little bit, you can dissipate all that energy that's not needed. Because fear and hopelessness and powerlessness, all of those types of emotions, those are a choice. That is not inherent in anything, not even cancer. It is not a given that you have to be fearful, that you have to feel powerless, that you have to feel hopeless or overwhelmed or any of that. That is all a choice. And it is in this case too, but you need to process it. You need to have a way, whether it's through writing or talking, you got to be able to get it out of you and not let it rule your experience. Because if you let it sit down in your gut and just spin and spin and spin, that creates more dis-ease within your body. It does not promote harmony and a smooth journey. And I would think that whatever you're going into in the near future, as the card indicates, you want a smooth journey. You'd rather not have bumps. So why are you thinking about the bumps? But that's human. We all do that. But you just have to have somebody you can rest with, in order to kind of process through those. It's very, very normal. And then it will help you to then retune your energy field and produce a different experience than perhaps what you have been focused upon lately, in whatever regard this is in your journey. Okay. The next card up is from the Angel Tarot by Doreen Virtue also. Ooh-wee. And we have something really nice with the Sagittarius energy, the Three of Fire. This card deck has beautiful imagery. Really beautiful. All right. Abundance. Things look very good. Have patience at this time. Make long-term plans. This is the immigrant entering the country, filling out the paperwork. I have arrived at the promised land. And look at the protection that you have sitting next to you. This gorgeous dragon. Nothing's going to get you. Dropping the fear, embracing a sense of well-being as your natural state. What if you looked at your future of whatever this new endeavor is as being the most abundant thing that you could ever do in your lifetime? Because that's what this card indicates. And the 3 tells me it has to do with your communication ability. That's a core piece of this puzzle of coming into a place where you can truly embrace the abundance of this new part of your journey, the immigrant coming into the country. A lot has to do with your mentality and the way you go about thinking about it, and the way you choose to talk about it. The 3 is related to Gemini energy, our capacity to communicate, our capacity to think, our brain power. Are the words that you're speaking ones that are tuned to abundance? Things looking really good. having patience and knowing that things, good things, things that are worth it, sometimes take some time to come together. The energies have to align. But don't think that they're not coming just because they're taking their time. And long-term plans. Like, are you okay with setting about the task of making long-term plans and of trusting that those will be true and that those will happen? Because the way energy works, when you're, let's say you're making a plan for a year from now, you know, Abraham Hicks, who I've been listening to a lot lately. I hadn't listened to those videos in quite a while. That's Esther Hicks is the woman's name, and she channels this higher self energy known as Abraham. And there are tons of videos on YouTube if you look up Abraham Hicks. And what she says is, you know, it's ask and it is given. So when you're tuning your vision to what you're wanting, let's say a year from now, it is already done. The divine doesn't take long to manifest in the energetic sphere. You ask and you define your point of focus, and it's there. What if that was your view? What if that, you know, if you knew, you trusted that you have this force sitting next to you at all times in the form of this dragon that can give you whatever it is that you're wanting. If you will but keep your focus on it and assume it to already be there. It's as if somebody calls you up and says, oh my gosh, I just realized that I owe you $1,000. I totally forgot about this payment that I received, and for some reason they owe you this money, and the check is literally in the mail. That's what we're talking about here. You're just simply expecting it. And having the patience for the energy to line up so you're in the perfect circumstance, that incoming whatever it is in the perfect circumstance, and together you meet. Okay? But the dragon here tells me that, you know, that's your kind of your higher self energy that is always listening to what it is that you're wanting. So really think about, are you being clear? And are you speaking literally in your everyday experience? Are you speaking in a way that makes it clear that you are made of abundance, that you do have a very good life, that you do have a long-term strategy that just excites you so much, and that you're fine with things taking their time, that it doesn't have to be instant physical manifestation, because it is instant manifestation in the energetic sphere. But you have to be sending out the radio signal that I'm open to receiving this in whatever form it could possibly arrive to me at. So I'll give a silly example of, I had set an intention to get a BMW X5 in white. I had set that intention, I think, Lordy, that might have been 2 years ago at this point. And earlier, it was actually just before I received my diagnosis. So last fall, I drove by one of the local car dealers, and they had a white X5 out there. And I had been envisioning it in my garage, and I went and I just decided to pull in one day after work, and I just really wanted to get in it. I just really wanted to see what I thought about it. And you know, turned out that the salesman actually kind of knew some of the same people that I did, had grown up in the same town that I had, knew my mother from being a teacher in the school system. And so he let me take the X5 and park it in my garage overnight, and was not particular about the time of day the next day when I could bring it back. He just really wanted me to experience it. So can you see that that was like a mini manifestation, a physical manifestation, once I got refocused on that sort of dream and that sort of vision, and it just took its time making its way to me. And then I parked it in the garage, I drove it around, and lo and behold, I found out that is way too much vehicle for me. I have one child, like, what? I don't need a vehicle this big. It's bigger than the one I've got. And so it turned out that that wasn't really what I wanted after all. So this is why, like, the universe sometimes can find ways for you to test out, well, how does this feel? Because you may find that what you're wanting more than anything isn't exactly what you're truly wanting. But it gives you little testers like that. And then you hone in more on, okay, what is it that I maybe want instead? You see what I'm saying? So, but it took getting in a mindset where I literally could feel that, and I could sense that it was already in my experience. But it takes clear thought, staying focused on it, and understanding that it is already created and it's just a matter of it coming through the mail to you, literally. But you have to be, it matters the signal that you're sending out. Because if you're sending out, let's say, a very strong, you think you're sending out a really strong signal of, you know, I want a relationship. I want a really meaningful relationship. And then you're talking with your friends and you keep saying things like, oh, I'm never going to find anybody. There's never anybody good around here. How can I possibly connect with somebody? Who would want me? You know, and you have no space in your social life to even meet up with somebody. You have no space in your closets if there was somebody that you just fell so in love with that they wanted to move in with you, and you've got no space. There's nowhere for them to park. You know, you're not making space, and you're not expecting it because of the things that you're thinking and you're saying. They're not lining up. So that's where the universe then gets a little confused about, okay, so what do you want? Because it sounds like you don't really want that, because of the vibe you're putting out, like, I can't meet anybody around here. This is ridiculous. So just be clear. Just be clear. That's what I get from this, because they're listening. The dragon is totally focused on this figure. Listening. Being attentive. Okay, and there's major force there. But it matters what you're putting out. Okay? So in terms of whatever this journey is, like the immigrant coming into the new country, just really, it feels promising to me, and this is a super promising card. Oh my gosh! But are you giving yourself all the fuel that you're going to need for this new development, for this new adventure, for this new, philosophy of your life, whatever it is? Are you fueling it? It's kind of like, me with my nutritional journey. I want supreme health and to be as fit as I can, and just to feel healthy in my body so that I don't have to have another health scare again. And so, but how are you fueling your body, Kat? This is the same thing as this message to you, is finding a way to find a system that works so you're repeatedly fueling what it is that you're wanting, instead of oh, well, it's the weekend, and so I'm going to have 5 ice cream cones and, you know, pizza every night. And, or really thinking about how you're fueling what you're wanting, because it does make a difference. That's what your team's pointing out here. But boy, you have a lot of fire and passion and support in the biggest ways, and it looks very promising. And I feel like you have started that manifestation process of clearly asking, but the real work of it is in truly believing, and what comes out of your mouth and what's in your thoughts aligning as well. Because that's the fuel, that's the jet fuel that gets that item, relationship, job, house, whatever, into your experience. Because the energy pathway to you needs to be created as kind of a golden road. And it can't find you if you're sending out staticky symbols, okay? And a staticky signal that just blurs the whole vision. It may eventually make its way to you, but it may not be in the form that you're wanting. Okay. The last card is from the messages from your animal spirit guides. And this, we have zebra. Zebra. Okay, Sisu's coming up. Let go of your fear and know that you are safe and protected at all times. So very much like the previous card had this huge dragon sitting next to a figure, next to a woman. This for you is, you might have some dreams, whatever this, the feeling of an immigrant entering a new country, a feeling of transition, a feeling of something new coming in that you couldn't have imagined. And your dream, whatever you're fixated on, might look a lot different than everybody else's around you. Because that's what I think of when the zebra card comes up. Is you're a horse of a different color. And you may have other people around you who are saying, what are you doing thinking about that? That makes no sense. Look at all this other stuff that you got to take care of before you can do this or have that or whatever. But again, I'm being drawn back to my great-grandfather in 1918 at the tender age of about 20, getting on a boat and coming to the very busy, overwhelming New York, Ellis Island, starting here is my whole new life. This is where I'm going to start a family. This is where I'm going to make a living. This is where I'm going to leave my fingerprint from this lifetime. What courage that took. And I bet you anything that his family, that members of those he knew, maybe not in his family, maybe friends, other acquaintances, thought he was crazy. Why would you ever want to leave Finland? Why would you want to leave everything you know? But this is the value of Sisu, as I was saying in the intro. That inner drive that there's something better for me, there's something more. And I'm only going to find it if I put the boots on and walk straight through that mud and I don't care, I'm going anyway. So there's a certain amount of push, but it's a passionate push. It's not I'm going to power through this and I'm going to mow everybody down in the process. That is not Sisu. Sisu is very individual and personal. It's about just finding this resilience in you that it couldn't be dampened no matter what. And when we think about the proud zebra wandering through the plains, let's say in Africa, it's a target because it's different. So predators see it very easily. But it has that coat for a reason. It's it has something unique to offer. And whatever you're focused on, your dream, your vision, this idea of the immigrant coming into a new country, it has unique purpose. Because even in the face of people saying, "What the hell are you thinking?" If they're saying that, somehow you still have the drive, and you must pay attention to that. I'm asking you to dig up your sisu and to say, no, I feel way too passionate about this to let this go. Because the world needs that, needs you, needs whatever you're wanting to bring out, to create, to develop, to materialize in your life. Because for the simple fact of it makes you happy. And guess what? Happy in an energy field can heal more people than you would imagine, because that vibration is so strong, and it's built on love and a feeling of security and a feeling of everything's going to be okay, and a feeling of just being supported and not out in the cold alone, knowing that you've got everything at your fingertips. That's the vibe of happy, truly happy. So even if you're getting people in your face, you need to find that chutzpah, the sisu, within you to continue on. Keep dreaming your dream. Keep seeing your vision. And sometimes it can help to journal and actually tell a story of you once that has happened, and particularly get to the feelings. How do you feel now that that is now a part of your experience? It has occurred. Just like for my great-grandfather, you got to know that he was dreaming of that as he was growing up as a teenager, that he wanted a bigger, brighter, more potential for prosperity and security in his life, an opportunity that America offered him at that time. And so he probably never knew that there would be a way, but a way was made, and he made it happen because of his focus upon it. You just can't lose your focus, okay? So that's why I'm saying, if you can journal, if you can go through the motions, kind of like I did, I was describing earlier about driving, and actually I did it recently. I drove a BMW coupe. I would love a BMW again. And I drove one because I've never driven one that size, and I just wanted to see, is this what I'm really wanting? And you can't really know until you get your hands on it a little bit. So that's what's going to keep your vision alive. This whatever it is that you want to manifest for yourself. It's getting your hands around it. So let's say that you want to go on a vacation somewhere, like a big trip. You want to go to, I'm going to pull out Scotland, because that's where my husband and I would like to go. Send for the brochures. Sure, you can look online. That's all good. But I'm talking, get it in your hands. Send for a brochure packet. Talk to people who you know that have traveled there and ask them, like, what was your favorite part? What did it smell like? What was the food like? What was it like to drive around or in their travels? Like, how did that go? You need to get intimate with the feeling of it, and then you can more easily be there in your mind, okay? But you can't let, I feel like this is about others bringing you down and making you feel like your dream is not worth it, or is frivolous, or isn't responsible. That's a good one. Isn't responsible. And I'm sure many people would say that to me about getting a BMW. Like, what are you thinking? You owe all this money in these other places and blah, 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 blah. And we have a son who's about, going to be going off to college. But when you've been through cancer treatment, and I'm not feeling bad for myself, I'm feeling proud of myself. then you know that that's really not a big deal to make that happen. And everything is a choice. And so the thing of it is if this dream of yours brings you happiness, that is what you need to focus on the most. Because that then brings the benefit of a whole train of other things. And I'm not just talking material things here. A whole train of high vibe experiences and emotional highs that you're ready and wanting to experience. And so believing and knowing that dream can happen for you is not out of sight, but you need to stay strong, even in the vulnerability moments, even in those times when either your own fear backs you down or the words of other people. Well-meaning, but mind your own business. This is my life, and I will decide what is best for me. And you'll know what feels right. Is it right at this moment for me to go out and buy a BMW? Not at this moment. But I'm working on that, and I see it as something that I can completely manifest into my experience, along with so much more that I have in my vision that I don't believe is impossible. And I've done it before. I've already had a BMW. So, anything is possible. Anything is possible. But you got to keep your unique vision. And don't whittle it down. Don't be like, I could do that, but maybe I'll just do this one little piece, kind of, sort of. Keep the vision intact. Yes, you could do it as baby steps there, and that might feel right to get the momentum started, but don't lose the vision completely, because that's what really drives this sense of sisu, is having that vision of where you're going and always keeping your eyes fixated there. And everything within you, the resource within you, comes forward in order to meet that. There's a lot of passion this week. You've got a lot of orange in your card here. That is that pure passion that comes from right down in the lower part of your belly, like right below the belly button. Like, ugh! It's a fiery desire. And life isn't quite as good without that. That's what really lights us up in this life. So allow yourself that passion, and just don't make it less than what you're really wanting. Okay, it's really worth it. And I would recommend, if anybody wants to get started on Abraham Hicks, that's all around this idea of the law of attraction. Ask and It Is Given is a really good one to start with, and there's tons of videos. And I have a version of Abraham Hicks that's a little different for me, and you will find what works for you. But it's a really good way to get flowing in the stream of consciousness, which does not have this sense of holding back and of life being a struggle and life being hard. All of that is bullshit. When you're talking about how energy really works, it does not work like that. Hard work can feel good at times, and you know when it feels good, and you know when it feels like just plain effort that isn't getting you anywhere, and if anything, it's just frustrating you. And so the Abraham Hicks model, as an example, is a really good one to just listen to. Listen on your way to work. It's really fun to think about life as just being an easy flow, and that it comes down to making a choice as to what makes you feel better. Wherever you are, what turns that boat around, so instead of it going straight upstream, that just a little bit better thought, little bit better thought turns that boat around, and before you know it, life just becomes this easy glide, and things get a lot easier. And for some reason, our human nature wants to make things hard and feels that it has to be, and it doesn't have to be. But key for you is keeping that vision, even in the midst of other people maybe not believing it. And there's a lot of people who listen to me or listen to like Abraham Hicks or read The Secret or watch the movie and say, oh my God, that can't possibly work for me. That's just a bunch of bunk. But boy, there's a lot of people who can prove that it does work and their results show. So it's up to you. It might be worth a try. But I'm asking you, as you're going about your plans, particularly this week with this Sabian symbol coming up, just keep to your vision, no matter what, okay? Keep to your vision. It's unique and important to you for a reason. And the world needs that because it brings you happiness. And that's all that matters. It brings you happiness, and therefore you're flowing with the natural energy that is yours. Okay, everybody, there we go. Very inspirational week. I hope you enjoy it. See you next week. Bye-bye.